So we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to ask that everyone please mute your selves, your microphones, and turn off your cameras, which I think we've already got all that taken care of. If you care to, in the chat below, just type your name and where you're from. I like to go back and see where everybody's from. I'm also going to ask that you keep your questions until after the lesson. I will go through the chat at the end of the lesson and we'll do like a Q&A. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start out with the key of G major. So far, we've been playing everything in the key of C major. Whenever I first started this in January, so January, February, March, all three lessons we have been playing in the key of C major. So today we're going to learn a new key, G major, and we're going to learn the G major chord, the D7 chord, and the C major chord. That all of these that go with the key of G major. So we're going to learn about block chords and broken chords, the damper pedal, and I've got a few songs, and let me go ahead and turn this camera off and we'll get right to it. I want to focus on just the keys. So give me just a moment. Okay, there we go. Now, if you remember from the last lesson, we were playing in C major. We had our right hand, our 1 was on C, our 2 on D, our 3 was on E, our 4 on F, and our 5 on G. Now we're learning the G major, so we're going to take our 1 and we're going to place it on G. And our 2 is going to be on A, our 3 on B, our 4 on C, and our 5 on D. So now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, G, A, B, C, D. Okay, so let's find that with our left hand. If you go to the key of C major with your left hand, you've got your 5 on C, 4 on D, 3 on E, 2 on F, and 1 on G. Now take that 5 and put that 5 right here on G. So now you've got your 5 on G, your 4 on A, your 3 on B, your 2 on C, and your 1 on D. And now if you looked in the Facebook group, I included links for the music that we're going to be covering tonight. I included that on there. And the first one is the grand staff in G position. It should look something like this. Go ahead and grab that and let's go over it. So if you remember, we went over this a lesson or two ago, the lines and the spaces of the grand staff. The bottom line of the treble staff is E. The next line up is B. G. The middle line is B. The next line up is D. And the top line is F. So it's E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy does fine. And then you've got the spaces are F, A, C, E, or face. Let's see if I can get some light. Okay. So then we've also got the bass staff. You've got the bottom line is G. The next line up is B. The next line up is D, middle line D. The next line is F, and the top line is A. And then your spaces are A, C, E, G. So with the treble staff, you've got every good boy does fine, a face. The bass staff, you've got good boys do fine always. And then the spaces are all cows eat grass. That's a good way to remember it. Okay, so all cows eat grass. Top space is G. So here's our G. Second line up is G also. Then the next one is A. The next one is B. Next one is C. The next one is D. So it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so let's play through this. G, A, B, C, and D. G, A, B, C, D. Okay, it's pretty easy. So let's move on to sharps. I don't have a visual for sharps. Well, I kind of do. If you look here, you will see what appears to be like a hashtag in front of this F right here and this F. That is a sharp. In the key of G major, you have one sharp. You've got G, A, B, C, D, E, and instead of F, we've got F sharp, now G. So this F sharp, when you see this F sharp like this, right in front of a note, that means to play the next note immediately to the right, regardless of if it is black or white. So in our case, F sharp, that's immediately to the right. So this right here is F sharp. Now the D7 chord goes with G major, and to play the D7 chord, we've got our G, B, and D, 1, 3, and 5. That's our G major chord right there. Okay, so to play a D7, you're going to put your 1 on F sharp, 4 on C, and 5 on D. I'm getting a really bad, really bad. Let me see if I can get it here. I'm going to try something here because it seems like I'll try to get better light. Let me see if I can do this. Does that seem any better? Okay. So we've got our, no, not really. We've got our G, B, and D. That is our G major chord. And then our D7 is going to be F sharp, C, and D. Let me see one more thing. Try to put a light over here. Okay, so our G major, G, B, D. Our D7 is F sharp, C, and D. Now the D7 chord goes with G major, and your 1 is on F sharp, your 4 on C, your 5 on D, and you play that all together. Now with your left hand, you've got your G major chord, that is G, B, and D. Okay, now your G7 is your 5 is going to stretch down to this F sharp right here. And then you've got your 2 on C and your 1 on D. Okay, so G major. Now here's your D7. Okay, so on the second link that I included was the G major and D7 chord. So if you grab that paper and let's go to it, and you will see I've already kind of showed you, but we've got the G major right here. And then this next one right here is our D7. This is what a D7 looks like. This right here is what your G major looks like. This is what your D7 looks like. So you've got G, G, and then D7, 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 G. So let's play through it. You've got G. Next one is D7. Now you've got 2 Gs, 2 D7s, D7, and G. Okay, so your left hand and your right hand's both playing the exact same chord. So let's play through it together. You've got your G major. Now you've got your D7. There, you can kind of see that. Okay, now let's play 2 G majors, 2 D7s. Now another D7 and G major. Okay, let's play it through one more time. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, the third link is sunshine intervals and G position. So let's go over that. If you look at it, it looks something like this. Okay, and if you look at it, I've got some finger numbers kind of jotted down there. Now, this is going to challenge you to read music. This is going to challenge you to read both the treble staff and the bass staff. So you're really going to be reading on the grand staff from this point on. So I've got under here, I jotted down 3, 1, 5, 3, 2. So if our 1 is on G, 2 on A, and 3 is on B, so you just go by finger numbers, you know that's going to be B, G, D, B, A. However, and it's good to read by finger numbers, that's great, but you also need to look at it and say, okay, what is this? Middle line is B. Second line from the bottom is G. Second line from the top is D. So you need to get very familiar with that. Okay, so let's look at this. 3, 1, 5, 3, 2. But look at this right here. We've got second, a third, and a fourth. So the second is D and C. The The third is D and B, and the fourth is D and A. So it looks something like this. Okay, so I'm going to play just through the right hand to the second measure. But whenever I hit this 2, I'm going to play the second, C and D, third, C and D and B, and then okay, so let's play that through again. Okay, so play that through a few times. If you have to stop, if you don't know what a note is, stop and figure it out. Go through your lines and your spaces. Go through that and say, okay, G, B, D, F, A. Okay, so if this is A, this next one is C. Go through and say it until you can look at it and say, okay, you know what? That's D and C. That's D and B. That's D and A. Okay. So now we're going to move on, for the sake of time, we're going to move on to petals. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Oh, I thought I had saved it. Okay, so here we go, petals. Now the damper petal is the petal that is located right here on the right, the furthest one on the right. If you have an electric piano or an acoustic piano, you may have 3 petals. The one on the left is the soft petal, the middle petal, and then there's the damper petal. Now you will use the damper petal the most. If you have a keyboard, you may only have a single pedal or no pedal at all. If you have 1 pedal, that would be the damper pedal, or you may hear people talk about it as the sustain pedal. And that's what the pedal does. It sustains the sound. So whenever I press a key, I can press, and it holds it down. The sound keeps going. Now I can, now that sounds all blurry. Now I can connect it by lifting the pedal up. once I press a note, press down on the pedal. Now, whenever I go to press another note, lift up and get another pedal, unless the notes go together. If they are neighbor notes like seconds, I mean, that really doesn't sound that great. Now, if they're thirds, let's say G and B. Now that goes together. You don't have to get a new pedal for that. But whenever whatever you're playing, if it starts sounding cloudy and it starts just sounding, that sounds okay. That does not. Then you would need a different pedal. Now, whenever you press a key and you hold it with the pedal, you press down with your right foot on the right pedal, of course, and it sustains a sound until you let up on the pedal. Now I can press the pedal down, press a key, and while I'm still holding it, press another key, and it just adds it to it. And it will keep holding until I let up off the pedal. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to broken chords and block chords. Now, a chord, this is a block chord. You've got G, B, and D, your G major chord right here. Whenever I play them all together at once in one block, that's a block chord. Now, let's say I'm going to play G, B, and D, but I'm going to play them all separate. Is that still a chord? Absolutely, that's still a chord. It's just broken up. So it's very plain and simple. Block chords, broken chords. So one last thing I want to introduce you to before we go on to our last two little songs. The very last thing I want to introduce you to is the C major chord. Now, in the key of G major, you've got G, A, B, C, D. Now you've got, if you stretch your 5 in your right hand, up one more key, you've got E. Now, do you remember whenever we were playing in the key of C major? This was the C major chord, C, E, and G, right? C, E, G. Okay, so we're in the key of G major, so we've got our 1 is on G. So let's put our 5 on E. Well, that's a 6. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now add your C in. Is that the same? You've got C, E, G. Yes, it's the exact same chord. It's just in a different position, but the same chord. So G, C, E. C, E, G, G, C, E. So you've got your G major, your D7, and now your C major. Now you've got that in your left hand as well. So you've got G, A, B, C, D. And if you move your 1 up to E, now add the C. So you've got your G major, your D7, and now you've got your C major. Okay, so let's practice going back and forth. You've got G major, D7, G major, now C major, now back to G major, now D7, now C major, now G major. Let's do that with our left hand. You'll find that you'll be using these chords in the left hand more than anything else. Your left hand will be doing more chords. Right hand will do a little bit of chords, but not near to the extent of your left hand. Now, this is what I wanted to teach you today, the G major chord. I want you to be able to play it and read it on the grand staff. So we have the G major chord, the D7 chord, and the C major chord. Now, these are known as the 1 chord, G major, the 4 chord, C major, and the 5/7 chord, which is D7. So you've got G, that's 1 chord. Now the 4 chord, so you got G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's the 4 chord because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's the C major chord. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a D7. Okay, so you've got the 1 chord, G major, the 4 chord, C major, and the 5/7, D7. Okay, so let's move on. Let me put this away real quick. Now grab the link that's the G, the D7, and C. And let's go through this. If you look at it really quickly, are these block or broken chords? If you look at them very closely, you can tell that they are block chords. And especially whenever you get down here, these are all block chords. Notice the F sharp. This is going to be your your D7. So that's basically all you're doing is playing the G major chord, G major. Oh, look at this. Okay, so we've got our first, second. Look at the third measure right here. Look at that real closely. That's G, C, and E. That is your C major chord. Now look under here. We have got this line right under here. Then it lets up and we got this line. Then it lets up and we got this line. What is that? That is petals. Whenever you see it let up like that, that means to let it up and get you a new petal. Now let's play through, and right here, it's got E above it. Let's play through just the right hand. You start off on G, you're 1 on G. Now stretch that 5 up to E. And then that 3 is going to be on C. 5, 3, 5, 3. Now move that 5 down to D again. Okay, so let's play through that first line one more time. Okay, now let's go into the second line. Move that 5 up to E again. Now move that 5 back down to D. here we go. Here's our C major chord. D7, D7, G major, G major. Okay, so let's take it from the top, go all the way to the end with just our right hand again. C major, D7, D7, G major. Okay, now let's just play through just our left hand. So if you start from the top, you got G major, G major. Third line, a third measure rather, you've got C major. Now back to G major. Back to C major, G major, now D7, now G major, now D7, now G major, G major, C major, D7, D7, G major, G major. Pretty easy. So you've got G, C, G, D7. That's your only 3 chords that you use. Okay, so I'm going to put both of them together and I am going to, I am going to use the pedal along with it. So here we go. Okay, pretty simple. Let's play through it just one more time and then we'll go on to the next one. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. Now this one is rolling keels. If you look at it, I think all that we have here is the G and then the D7. I think that's all we have. And look at this. You will notice that there is a pedal line under each one. Now, if you look at this, are there any block chords here? No. These are all chords, yes, but they are all broken chords. So now this is very easy. You're breaking up a G chord. You break it up, a G chord going up. Then you break the G chord coming down. G chord going up, G chord coming down. Then you've got the D7 going up, D7 coming down. And then you've got the G chord going up, G chord going up in the left hand, and then you end on the G chord. So you literally have one block chord and it's right here at the very end. Okay, so let's go through and let's play. Now, did you notice I didn't change my pedal between each measure? or each beat. I kept the pedal down and I just broke up the chord going up and the chord coming down. Now I'm getting a new pedal. Now here we go with our D7 chord. Now back to the G major. Well, that's very pretty and cute. Let's play through it one more time. Okay, so that's all we have for today. I'm going to go ahead and turn this camera back on. Well, if I can, if it'll work. There we go. Okay. So now let me turn this other camera off and okay. So now let's go to the Q&A.